Okay, so boom. What's going on, y'all? I'm MASON.EXE. I'm an artist, producer, and engineer based out of New York. And in today's video, we're going to be going over saturation.
This a Nebula Gray production, babe.
Saturation is one of my favorite tools to use regardless of what audio track I'm working on. It could be drums, melodies, it could be guitars, it could be vocals, it does not matter. It could be bass. Saturation is the way to go to add fullness, richness, and excitement to a track that may be lacking it. That EQ just may not be hitting the way that you want it to, and you may need something to help just add a little bit more life to that track. Saturation is the tool to use. And in today's video, we're going to be going over 3 of them, actually. We're going to be going over Ableton's Stock Saturator. Our free plugin for today is going to be the Saturation Knob, by Softube. And the third plugin of the day is going to be a paid plugin by a company called WavesFactory. And this is by far one of the greatest saturators of all time. I would say this and Saturn 2 by FabFilter come neck and neck. But today's paid plugin is going to be Spectre. So in today's video, we're going to be going over some very generalized ideas on saturation and how we use that in our vocals, go through the saturation module for Ableton, take a look at its functions, and then from there, we'll be able to kind of go in depth more on the other plugins. So stay tuned, and I hope you enjoy. 2 minutes. First thing we're going to do is go into the audio effects section and pull on Ableton's Saturator. Now, when we bring out the Saturator, you're gonna see a few functions. Since this has been updated to Ableton 12, the Saturator does look a little bit different from what you may see in older YouTube videos, but everything should still apply relatively the same. And we're gonna breeze through these functions really quickly, only because this is a beginner-friendly video. And I kinda want you to just get the base important things down on what to use this for, so that way you can move on to the rest of your vocal chain. Okay, so for Ableton Saturator, there's different functions here, and we're going to be covering everything as simply and as to the point as possible. Analog clip, soft sine, bass shaper, medium curve, hard curve, sinoid fold, digital clip, and wave shaper. These are all saturation curves that the saturator will apply as it's doing its thing. Generally, for the most part, I like to use 3. I like to jump between analog clip, soft sine, and hard curve. I don't really use medium curve too much because if I'm looking for an aggressive saturation, I'd rather just use hard curve because it's going to give me the most aggressive form of saturation. And if you're going for aggression, you might as well just go big or go home. You know what I'm saying? You're either going for a telephone vocal or you're not. Or you're going for something that's really, really bright and whatnot, but controlled. And at that point, we may have to start adding a multi-band, like a multi-band compressor. Ableton has multi-band dynamics as an example, but that might be the solution to control a brighter vocal that will be definitively given from a medium or hard curve. So I like to use analog clip, soft sine, and hard curve generally. Allow me to explain. In analog clip, when you use the drive function, and you increase the drive, you're increasing the amount of saturation. And this is generally to a tasteful degree. It is gonna get bright, but that's where you would reduce your output so that way you maintain a certain level of balance. So if I increase my drive by, let's just use an arbitrary number like 8, I would generally reduce my output by about 8 because I'm not looking to increase the volume. I'm looking to add a harmonic distortion that's gonna add a richness, a fullness across the board or in specific places. And those specific places is where the color tool comes in. So first, let's kind of just breeze through it. And if you wanted to go into the mix and get really particular,
Let me interject. Not me getting flashy with my intellect.
we're at minus 10.9, a hair over minus 12, right? So our vocal is low and we're aware of that. But check out where this peaks right now.
Let me interject. Not me getting flashy with my intellect. Not me getting flashy on the internet. But I can get flashy if you're feeling it. So let me ask if you're feeling it. Are you feeling it? Only yellow tape.
So I'm kind of lingering between the peaking at minus 9 versus lingering at minus 11, minus 12, right? That's kind of where my vocal is sitting. Watch what happens when I click on soft sine.
Let me interject. Not me getting flashy with my intellect. Not me getting flashy on the internet, but I can get flashy if you're feeling it. So let me ask if you're feeling it. Are you feeling it? Only yellow tape if I'm killing it. That's a Cobb salad with the vinaigrette, and my appetite's feeling unlimited.
So as you could see, we hit a -5 over there when we had this on soft sign, and we didn't even add any drive or make any adjustments. Soft sign is gonna add a soft clip kind of vibe to your saturator, or even just turn the saturator into a soft clipper itself, basically. And at that point, it is gonna add overall signal because there is a change in the harmonic distortion that's going on versus what you get from analog clip.
Let me interject. Not me getting flashy with my intellect.
And from what you get with a hard curve.
Let me interject. Not me getting flashy with my intellect. Not me getting flashy on the internet.
So do you remember when I said that if you look at this blue band going on in the saturator, the closer that that band is to where these where the wave actually has its curves, that's where we're starting to see that saturation. If we back up analog clip, look how broad and how wide the distance is between some actual curvature over here. When we come to hard curve, it's literally a hard curve. To drive this, you're literally going to end up brick walling, you know? And you don't really want to listen to anything that's hard curved that high. So we can just go over some really, really simple practices that I like to use. In analog clip, I like to increase my drive depending on what I'm going for. And if I find out that it's getting a little too bright or anything like that, then I can start working on the color tool. So let's kind of just fool around with it really quickly, right?
Let me interject. Not me getting flashy with my intellect. Not me getting flashy on the internet, but I can get flashy if you're feeling it. So let me ask if you're feeling it. Are you feeling it? Only yellow tape if I'm killing it. That's a Cobb salad with the vinaigrette, and my appetite's feeling unlimited.
Okay, so we are adding saturation. There is saturation in the vocal. And now at this point, let's use the color tool and let's use the negative values to back off on saturation being applied to the low end. And you increase your values to add saturation to your low end. But this is not going to make the low end punchier. This is actually going to make everything a little bit more brighter and a little bit more... It's a little hard to explain, but check it out.
Let me interject. Not me getting flashy with my intellect. Not me getting flashy on the internet, but I can get flashy if you're feeling it.
So you see how my bass frequencies are getting overly excited? And when we get closer to 100% in the positive section, we start getting this really, really ugly distortion going on. So if we're getting this crappy ass saturation from this being at 95%, what happens if we drop it at -95%? Let's take a listen.
Not me getting flashy with my intellect. Not me getting flashy on the internet, but I can get flashy if you're feeling it. So let me ask if you're feeling it. Are you feeling it? Only yellow tape if I'm killing it. That's a Cobb salad with the vinaigrette, and my appetite's feeling unlimited.
I can solo this, okay? Check this out.
Let me interject. Not me getting flashy with my intellect. Not me getting flashy on the internet, but I can get flashy if you're feeling it.
Do you hear the difference of that versus my positive 100?
Let me interject. Not me getting flashy with my intellect.
The reason this is going on is because your bass, your low end, if you have the negative values triggered, now the low end is kind of like it's letting the overall... Oh, look, right here, the tip tools. Look at the left, right? Adjust the amount of saturation applied to low frequencies. It's literally that simple. And have less saturation going into your lows. That way your lows remain full and rounded off. You're not adding in unnecessary frequencies to your low end, which is causing mud and distortion and forcing your bass to go up higher in frequency. It's going to make a mess. So I like to have my values generally in the negative end, usually between whatever. It depends on how I'm feeling.
Let me interject.
Beautiful.
Not me getting flashy with my intellect.
Beautiful.
Not me getting flashy on the internet, but I can get flashy if you're feeling it. So let me ask if you're feeling it. Are you feeling it? Only yellow tape if I'm killing it. That's a Cobb salad with the vinaigrette, and my appetite's feeling unlimited. I say, look, at what I did again.
And again, we're just goofing off. And this sounds pretty good, yo. And we're still on analog clip. We didn't really change anything too crazy, but we did increase our drive. We now gave a little bit more volume to this because, as you saw, we were peaking at -12 using the analog clips function with no drive whatsoever. Color, basically, keep color in the negative on vocals to get a more fuller sound. Add more positive values for color on vocals to get a more distorted sound.
Not me getting flashy with my intellect. Not me getting flashy on the internet.
I like to use the color tool in the negative values to get a cleaner sound.
Let me interject. Not me getting flashy with my intellect.
Beautiful.
Not me getting flashy on the internet.
Beautiful.
But I can get flashy if you're feeling it.
We're getting a little bit of that bass prominence is starting to show up, but even at 100%.
Let me interject. Not me getting flashy with my intellect. Not me getting flashy on the internet. But I can get flashy if you're feeling it.
Beautiful. That's saturation. That's all you really need to use. And these values are not universal. I would not recommend 8 drive and -5.1 dB on every track. No. But I would recommend finding balance, adding drive to the point where, okay, we have enough brightness, and then taking your output, dropping it enough where it at least matches the drive. And then you know how we over-exaggerate when we're kind of like adjusting values like our EQ. If we're cutting off low end, we usually cut off a ton of low end and then roll it back to find the sweet spot. Do the same thing. Take your drive, increase your drive if need be, and then take your output, decrease the output to the exact amount that you've increased the drive, and then start adding volume back into taste. That is the best way to do it. Just use your ears and find what sounds good. Now, personally, I would not ever use these settings on soft, right? On soft, I'm going to be very, very careful because I'm already adding volume.
Let me interject. Not me getting flashy with my intellect.
Wasn't our average -11 point something? How do we get to -7.19, right? Well, because soft sine is basically adding a crap load of saturation, and it is functioning very similar to what a soft clipper would do. Many people would swap out a soft clipper for the saturator with soft sine on. But now we have to be able to adjust it. And at that point, we could either remove drive or add more. Whatever works to taste.
Let me interject.
Damn, that's loud.
Not me getting flashy with my intellect.
It's actually not that loud. That's actually the ideal volume I would want it to be because I would like my vocals at -6. And then from there, I think we're in a great spot. Again, saturated, we can add some stuff to it.
Let me interject. Not me getting flashy with my intellect. Not me getting flashy on the internet. But I can get flashy if you're feeling it. So let me ask if you're feeling it. Are you feeling it? Only yellow tape if I'm killing it. That's a Cobb salad with the vinaigrette. And my appetite's feeling unlimited. I say, look at what I did again. In the description, you can find my Instagram. So like the video and watch to the very end. And hit subscribe if you're trying to see me lit again. Shoot!
-7.8. So check that out. We still managed to stay at around -7. Even though we added 3.4 dB of drive, we did reduce the output. But the saturator is all-encompassing. It hits the whole vocal. So we turn on the color tube, and we drop this down all the way to -70%. So that way, even though our highs are a little bit more excited than they were when this was in analog, this is still going to be able to get that bass to retain some independence from all that all-encompassing saturation. I really hope that makes sense, right?
Let me interject. Not me getting flashy with my intellect.
Brighter.
Not me getting flashy on the internet.
My shh is just way more aggressive and a little bit more harsh versus now.
Let me interject. Not me getting flashy with my intellect. Not me getting flashy on the internet. But I can get flashy if you're feeling it. So let me ask if you're feeling it. Are you feeling it? Only yellow tape if I'm killing it. That's a Cobb salad with the vinaigrette. And my appetite's feeling unlimited.
Right? So we've covered Ableton Stock Saturator and analog clip. We've tried soft sine and still found balance. As you could see, because soft sine has an innate loudness to it, I didn't need to boost my output. I can now keep my drive and my output pretty much proportional to each other. If the drive is 3.4, the output's -3.4. You know what I'm saying? So for soft sine, that's probably the most I would add because it's already a little bright. But again, I am exaggerating everything here for the purposes of these videos. From our EQ to our compression to our saturation, I want this to be able to cut through on your speakers and you can actually hear the changes being made. If you're listening on headphones, even better, right? So, last but not least, before we start touching on the clip section, which is pretty fun, pretty dope, not always needed, and now that I've come to use the saturator tool, but we can cover it. Last but not least is hard curve. Now, I'm just going to be frank like a hot dog. Do not increase your drive here. In fact, I would recommend, if we're starting from scratch, off rip, if you're using the hard curve, pause, take your output and drop it down by like -3 to -6. I'm going to go -6 because this is going to add a substantial boost.
Let me interject. Not me getting flashy with my intellect.
Common math.
Not me getting flashy on the internet.
-6, 7 over here, right?
Let me interject. Not me getting flashy with my intellect.
So I have to drop this by -6 just for this to be where it was in soft, and it's still too aggressive.
Let me interject. Not me getting flashy with my intellect. Not me getting flashy on the internet. But I can get flashy if you're feeling it.
That's very aggressive. If I have an EQ where I cut off all of my high end, all of my low end, and just had my mids boosted or whatnot, paired with this, that would be the ultimate telephone vocal if you have your compression as well on too. But as you can see, hard curve is very aggressive.
Let me interject. Not me getting flashy with my intellect. Not me getting flashy on the internet.
Ugh, right? And then from there, let's back off on drive.
Let me interject. Not me getting flashy with my intellect. Not me getting flashy on the internet. But I can get flashy if you're feeling it. So let me ask if you're feeling it. Are you feeling it? Only yellow tape if I'm killing it. That's a Cobb salad with the vinaigrette. And my appetite's feeling unlimited.
Wow, I'm just that good, I guess. I don't know. If you can make hard curve pause sound great, then you are the man. You are the best, all right? You are the best there is. And then from there, because this actually does sound pretty good. Let's take this and let's drop the amount of the color down, maybe about 100. Let's see. Let's just feel it out.
Let me interject. Not me getting flashy with my intellect. Not me getting flashy on the internet. But I can get flashy if you're feeling it. So let me ask if you're feeling it. Are you feeling it? Only yellow tape if I'm killing it. That's a Cobb salad with the vinaigrette. And my appetite's feeling unlimited. I say look at what I did again. In the description you can find my Instagram. So like the video and watch it to the very end. And hit subscribe if you're trying to see me lit again. Shoo!
Honestly, I made hard curve sound good, okay? Stop. One thing that's really, really hard to deal with is dealing with Ableton Stock Saturator when it's on hard curve. And at that point, those are the only times I ever drop my drive value for the most part, because I don't ever realistically need this in a vocal unless I'm trying to make a song that has specifically like telephonic style vocals, right? That's not what I'm going for here. Now, as you can see, look at where we're peaking.
Let me interject. Not me getting flashy with my intellect.
6.36, right? Let's now look at the no clip section and put this to soft clip. Watch what happens.
Let me interject. Not me getting flashy with my intellect. Not me getting flashy on the internet.
So for post clipping, soft clip and hard clip have a very, very, very small difference between them versus the actual curve itself between jumping from hard curve to soft. You definitely see a huge gap in volume. We shot to almost -2 versus soft, I think, was at -7. So there you have it in a nutshell. That's saturation for the most part using Ableton Stock Saturator. Just have fun with it, but try to stay in a level of balance. If you're using hard curve, bring your drive down. Make sure your color isn't negative, and use your output tool to really find that level and gain stage with your output tool if you don't want to touch your faders. You can tell that your saturation is good when your Fs, ch, and sh, all these bright sounds, when these don't fall apart and they maintain their integrity despite adding these levels of saturation or whatever kind of saturation that you're adding, now you start seeing the beauty of saturation. So just a little food for thought there, but this is how I like to use a saturator. The more aggressive that I use it, I'm going to be backing off on the drive. If I'm using more of a simpler sound and whatnot, I'm going to leave the drive as is or probably increase the drive maybe about, say, this, whatever, depending on how I'm feeling for the song. That's how you use Ableton Stock Saturator. It's very, very simple. You can use this on drums, basses, guitars, melodies, anything you want. But again, it's not ultimately perfect. And we do have other tools that we would like to, explore. Now, I do have a free plugin available. And this free plugin is going to be the saturation knob by Softube. And it's a pretty decent saturation knob. It is free, just in case your stock DAW saturator isn't something that you find much joy in using. You can always break out the Softube version. It's powerful. It can make things really bright. Just be mindful of that. It can make your mixes really bright. So I would say use this one as sparingly as possible, but saturation is still saturation. And as long as you're able to at least get the coloration of it where you want it to be, you'll be in a good spot. Really quick interjection. There's a couple of concepts about saturation that we won't be covering in this video because this video is very beginner friendly. When it comes to saturation, there's generally two forms of saturation that you really want to keep your eye on. And that would be even order harmonics and odd order harmonics. Even order harmonics are commonly referred to as triode. So if you ever see a saturator, or if you're ever in, like, for example, Ozone, and you're looking at a different way to use the exciter tool or whatever the case may be, you want to go for triode if you want something a little bit smoother, a little bit more rounded off that still gives life. To my experience, odd order harmonics, or what's commonly referred to as like a pentode style of saturation, this is going to give you more of a harshness, but a punchiness. I personally would use even order harmonics. I can use both, but for me, I would have a better experience using even order harmonics because I'm getting a smoother saturation. It wouldn't come across as harsh as if I were to use the equivalent of an odd order. So when it comes to vocals, I like to use triode-based saturation. And when it comes to drums, generally I'll use more of like a pentode. And they both offer different things. One isn't particularly better than the other because you may be going for a different kind of texture or color in your vocal. So hopefully that helps. But again, didn't want to cover that in today's video. On to the lesson plan. Softube, they have 3 different saturation types, 4 different means of listening to it while the mix is actively playing. So we can have saturation keep high or neutral on A, like how we have, and this is currently boosted by 2. We have on B, same, 2 boost, but this time we're on keep low, and we're in C. Same, 2 boost, but we're in keep high. And from what I can gather, it just seems as if the saturator itself is kind of dedicating itself to whether or not you want it to be all-encompassing via neutral, more targeted on the low end per keep low, similar to how Ableton had a color button, and we could drag that number to the negative percentage. And then we have keep high, which is what's probably going to be happening, similar to when we take the Ableton Stock Saturation and crank the color knob into the positive. So we're going to take a look over here. 2 dB of saturation, I think, is relatively fair. And we do have gain matching as well. So once we're able to find like the loudest parts of our song, we hit gain match and we kind of figure out whether or not that works for us. For a free plugin, it does let you do a lot, and you are able to adjust the input and the output as well. Right? So let's get this one back to 0. And then from there, we're going to get this one. Just hit reset on this. And now we should be in a spot. So I'm going to, again, 2 dB should be enough. But let's start with 0 and crank it up slowly and hear what we get, okay?
Not me getting flashy on the internet, but I can get flashy if you're feeling it. So let me ask if you're feeling it. Are you feeling it? Only yellow tape if I'm killing it. That's a Cobb salad with the vinaigrette, and my appetite's feeling unlimited. I say, look at what I did again. In the description, you can find my Instagram. So like the video and watch until the very end, and hit subscribe if you're trying to see me lit again. Shoo!
You know, it's pretty bright.
Let me interject. Not me getting flashy with my intellect. Not me getting flashy on the internet, but I can get flashy if you're feeling it. So let me ask if you're feeling it. Are you feeling it? Only yellow tape if I'm killing it.
The mids are very strong.
Not me getting flashy on the internet, but I can get flashy if you're feeling it. So let me ask if you're feeling it. Are you feeling it? Only yellow tape if I'm killing it. That's a Cobb salad with the vinaigrette, and my appetite's feeling unlimited. I say look at what I did again. In the description you can find my Instagram. So like the video and watch until the very end, and hit subscribe if you're trying to see me lit again. Shoo! Let me interject. Not me getting flashy with my intellect. Not me getting flashy on the internet, but I can get flashy if you're feeling it. So let me ask if you're feeling it. Are you feeling it? Only yellow tape if I'm killing it. Let me interject. Not me getting flashy with my intellect. Not me getting flashy on the internet, but I can get flashy if you're feeling it. So let me ask if you're feeling it. Are you feeling it? Only yellow tape if I'm killing it. That's a Cobb salad with the vinaigrette, and my appetite's feeling unlimited. I say look at what I did again.
At what I did again, it's staticky almost. I feel like there's distortion on my W's and certain ways that the saturation tool is interacting with my voice is making it a little bit more on the distorted side. So let's see if we can stick between neutral and keep low. And it's not a bad plugin at all. It's just, for me, it does add a little bit of a harshness to it, but I think that's something that we can manage to fix with a little bit of multiband.
Let me interject. Not me getting flashy with my intellect. Not me getting flashy on internet, but I can get flashy if you're feeling it.
Oh yeah, my mids are high. Let's try it.
Let me interject. Not me getting flashy with my intellect. Not me getting flashy on the internet, but I can get flashy if you're feeling it. So let me ask if you're feeling it. Are you feeling it? Only yellow tape if I'm killing it. That's a Cobb salad with the vinaigrette, and my appetite's feeling unlimited. I say look at what I did again. In the description you can find my Instagram. So like the video and watch until the very end, and hit subscribe if you're trying to see me lit again. Shoo! Let me interject. Not me getting flashy with my intellect. Not me getting flashy on the internet, but I can get flashy if you're feeling it.
Why is he adding brightness if it's too bright, right? Yeah, I know, but I am trying to establish some balance here. And honestly, I think this is actually kind of working. Shut up.
Let me interject. Not me getting flashy with my intellect. Not me getting flashy on the internet. That's a Cobb salad with the vinaigrette, and my appetite's feeling unlimited.
That's nice. Okay. Yeah, I like to use these leading lines provided, these grid lines, to show like how much dB, like where your breaking points are. I like to actually use these just as a guide frame for my ears. That way I can tell whether or not, once I get within certain realms, I know if I'm getting a little too bright, a little too dampened based off of if I use a lot of compression on the high. So I think this saturator and the multiband work perfectly together. And look at it. I mean, listen to it. It sounds pretty great. I think it sounds incredible.
Not me getting flashy with my intellect. Not me getting flashy on the internet, but I can get flashy if you're feeling it. So let me.
This is dope, yo, for real. Again, I think we're in a great spot. I think we're really able to, remove these from the list and maybe add on our paid plugin for the day. And our paid plugin for the day is going to be WavesFactory's Spectre. Okay. So Spectre is a tool that is profound for me. Honestly, I love this. It looks like an EQ. It moves like an EQ. But what you're actually doing is adding saturation to each of these particular bands, as you would in a traditional sense with an EQ. Nah, I mean, the only thing that you can't do is make cuts. But again, you're adding saturation. You're not removing it. So at the end of it all, I mean, this right here is an incredible tool. If I wanted to, in all the places that I added my compression and my EQ, I could mimic that. I could add a little bit of a boost here. You know what I'm saying? On the little spots that I feel may need just a little bit more love. Little things like that. And again, I'm going off of sight. I'm not even looking at the numbers. I'm just saying as an example that you can take Spectre and treat it like an EQ, but you're adding saturation to everything that you put a boost on. And not just that, you're adding different kinds of saturation between solid state, warm, tube, tape, and many others, especially clean. Clean is really nice. We want to get brightness. We want to make sure we don't get any muddy distortion or anything like that. And we want this to be nice and appealing to the ear, almost radio ready. Let's see what we can do with it.
Let me interject. Not me getting flashy with my intellect. Not me getting flashy on the internet. But I can get flashy if you're feeling it. So let me ask if you're feeling it. Are you feeling it? Only yellow tape if I'm killing it. That's a Cobb salad with the vinaigrette. And my appetite's feeling unlimited. Let me interject. Not me getting flashy with my intellect. Not me getting flashy on the internet. But I can get flashy if you're feeling it. So let me...
Now, I don't know if you can hear with the music playing the subtle changes that's being made, so I'm going to go through this really quickly one more time, soloed. Check this out.
Not me getting flashy with my intellect. Not me getting flashy on the internet. But I can get flashy if you're feeling it. So let me ask if you're feeling it. Are you feeling it?
160 is very bassy, and not just that, we're covering a very wide Q over here. If we narrow down the Q and whatnot, we can localize down to specific regions.
Not me getting flashy with my intellect. Not me getting flashy on the internet. But I can get flashy if you're feeling it. So let me ask if you're feeling it. Are you feeling it? Only yellow tape if I'm killing it. That's a Cobb salad with the vinaigrette. And my appetite's feeling unlimited.
You see how we found our little sweet spot so soon? Now, this isn't the de facto answer in Spectre, okay? Trust and believe. You don't have to make a little boost here specifically. This depends on your voice. This depends on the tonality of the track. This depends on the kind of saturation that you're going to be adding into that specific band to make sure that your bright areas aren't too ear-piercing. You may want to add in some warm. You know what I'm saying? If your high is just a little too airy, you may want to add in some warm. Or even maybe some tube or tape, depending on the vibe that you're going for. If your bass is too muddy, you may want to, instead of going for a warm, you may want to try to counteract some of that warm with either solid or clean. Clean is great, honestly and truthfully. Let's listen to it.
Not me getting flashy with my intellect. Not me getting flashy on the internet. But I can get flashy if you're feeling it. So let me ask if you're feeling it. Are you feeling it? Only yellow tape if I'm killing it.
You just want to touch on certain places. If you look at the areas that I boosted, traditionally around like 200, the 500K, the 500 range, maybe around 1,000 and stuff like that before we got to the 3K range. This is generally the EQ bands or ranges that you would find on one of these, for example. Go to Ozone 11 and pull up one of the Pultec style. Let's go for maybe vintage EQ, right? See how in the vintage EQ we have specific ranges for the low mids? 200, 300, 500, 700, 1K. When you get to the high mids, we start having conversations on 1.5K, 2K, 3K. If you wanted to make a high cut, you probably cut in the 20, the 10, or maybe even in the 5K region, make a dip, you know, your lows. There's specific ranges, you know? And I do like the fact that there's 5 bands over here. So you can actually add a little bit of bass to specific areas and whatnot and not have it being too, you know, all-encompassing. You could really locally cue down to very specific regions, 200, 180. Areas where you know that, my bass is prominent and pumping over here, but a little softer in this area. That's the area you'd probably raise that saturation up to level it out. And the same really goes for the brightness and whatnot. You can always add a little notch. You could add brightness as a whole. You could boost in specific ranges and whatnot. I love Spectre. Spectre is so dope. It's just saturation in the right places, wherever that may be. That's something that I really, really treasure when I come from a place where I use predominantly stock plugins in my learning journey. And as you saw with the saturation, that's something that's all-encompassing. You know, it just, all the audio gets saturated. You got to start tweaking things. But this one, it just makes it very simple, very clean, very cut and dry. So, boom, we're done. Saturation is not that hard, as you can see. It is harmonic distortion, but it's the distortion that we want and that we like and that is intentional. And honestly and truthfully, despite using all 3 of these plugins, I have to say that my favorite is still going to be Spectre, but Ableton Stock Saturator comes in at a very, very close second. And many people would probably bite me in the comments, but at the end of the day, it kind of just is what it is. When you know how to use a tool and you've been using it for so long, you understand the value of your chef's knife versus something that was just built a little bit better. you know? And when it comes to Ableton Stock versus Spectre, I have to say it really does come in a close second. And I know Saturn 2 is a saturation tool that we will be going over in the future. It's not on this computer, but I have 6 computers and they all have a whole bunch of different plugins. And that is my biggest mistake growing up as a engineer, producer, and self-sufficient artist. So nonetheless, no shade on saturation knob. We did struggle with it a little bit, but we did find that using multiband compression, we did find that using multiband compression does really help clean everything up and tuck in the layers that we don't want peeking out in public. And for the saturation knob by Softube, as we saw, that multiband definitely did come in clutch. So if you do have a free saturation tool and you don't want to use your stock one, go for the saturation knob, but just be sure to toss a multiband behind it. That way, if it gets a little too bright for your liking, you know how to handle it. Again, very beginner friendly, okay? I want you to be able to open up a saturation tool and at least be comfortable with knowing that this dial does this and this dial does that, you know? So hopefully this brings some value to you. My name is MASON.EXE, and again, this is a Nebula Gray and Company production. And we out.